The hospital corridor was silent. Only the soft sound of a ticking clock could be heard, like a countdown to something unknown. The lights on the ceiling were dim, making long shadows on the floor. Nurses walked quickly from one room to another, whispering to each other. No one noticed the little girl sitting alone on the bed in room 12. Her name was Emily. She was only 8 years old, but her eyes looked older, like they had seen too much pain for such a small child. She held a small toy in her hands, a tiny plastic horse with one broken leg. She kept touching the broken part again and again. It was the only toy she had brought to the hospital. Emily looked at the door. She was waiting for the doctor. Every day he walked in with a soft smile and told her something hopeful. But today, the door stayed closed. Today felt different. Even the air felt heavy, like something bad was coming. Emily's mother, Sarah, sat beside her. Sarah's hands were shaking. She tried to smile at her daughter, but the smile did not stay long. Her eyes were red, not from lack of sleep, but from crying quietly when no one could see her. Then the door opened. Dr. Harrison walked in slowly. He did not smile this time. He did not even look at Emily first. His eyes went straight to Sarah, and in that moment Sarah knew something was wrong, very wrong. Emily looked at the doctor with hope. "Doctor, can I take the medicine today?" she asked softly. Dr. Harrison took a deep breath. His voice was low. "Emily, your treatment cannot continue today." Emily blinked. She did not understand. Her little fingers tightened around the toy horse. Sarah stood up quickly. "What do you mean?" "She needs the treatment. She is getting weaker." The doctor looked down. "The hospital has changed the medical fee. Your insurance does not cover it now. I'm sorry, but we can't continue unless the new payment is made." For a moment, the world froze. The machines in the room kept beeping slowly. The clock kept ticking. But for Emily and her mother, time stopped. Sarah held Emily tightly. "Please, she is just a child. She needs this. She will die without it." Dr. Harrison looked sad, but helpless. "These are hospital rules. I cannot break them." A tear fell from Sarah's eye. She tried to hide it from Emily, but the little girl saw it anyway. Emily touched her mother's hand. "It's okay, Mommy," she whispered, though she didn't understand anything. But it was not okay. Not for her. Not for Sarah. Not for anyone who believed that a child's life should come before money. Outside, people passed by without knowing what was happening inside room 12. No one knew that a little girl was being denied the chance to live because her mother could not afford the new payment. Emily looked at her toy again. The small horse with the broken leg. In her mind, she felt a strange connection to it, like she was the broken part, and no one knew how to fix her. Sarah walked to the window. She cried quietly, her shoulders shaking. How was she going to save her daughter? Who would help them? Who would fight for them? Nobody, she thought. But she was wrong. Because far away, on the other side of town, something unexpected was happening. A group of bikers were gathering in a garage. Men with leather jackets, loud engines, and serious faces. But these men were not dangerous. They were protectors. Fighters. Helpers. And today, they were about to hear about a little girl named Emily. They did not know her yet. They had never seen her face. But in just a few hours, they would walk into the same hospital that had closed its doors on her. And when they walked in, nothing would ever be the same again. The engines of their motorcycles were ready to roar. The ground would shake as they moved. And destiny would begin to change. For the little girl waiting in room 12. Before the hospital room, before the broken toy horse, and before the terrible news, Emily's life was completely different. She was a bright, cheerful little girl who loved simple things. She loved drawing rainbows on every paper she found. She loved chasing butterflies in the park. And she especially loved riding her small pink bicycle, the one her mother gave her on her 7th birthday. Back then, her laughter filled their tiny apartment. Neighbors used to say, "This little girl has the sunshine inside her." And it was true. Emily had a way of making even the dullest days feel warm. But one morning, everything began to change. Emily woke up tired. Not the normal sleepy kind, a deep exhaustion. She could hardly lift her backpack for school. Sarah thought maybe she was catching a cold. But then Emily fainted in class. Her teacher called Sarah with panic in her voice. That was the first sign. Slowly, more signs followed. Emily would lose her balance. Her skin turned pale. Her energy disappeared. The sunshine in her started to fade, little by little. Sarah took her to the hospital. She waited anxiously in the cold examination room while the doctors ran tests. Hours felt like days. When the doctor finally returned, his face was serious. He sat down slowly and said, "I'm afraid Emily has cancer." The words hit Sarah like a heavy storm. Her hands shook, her breath stopped, her world broke. But she didn't cry in front of Emily. She held her daughter's small hand and said, "We will fight this. I promise." From that day forward, life became a cycle of hospital visits, medicine bottles, and long nights filled with silent tears. Emily lost her hair. She lost her energy. But she never lost her smile. She was stronger than most adults. She always whispered, "Mommy, I will get better. Don't worry." But Sarah did worry, every second. She worked 2 small jobs just to keep the bills paid. She cleaned houses in the mornings and worked at a small bakery in the evenings. She barely slept. She barely ate. But she never complained, because she needed every bit of money to save her daughter. Even so, the medical bills grew heavier every month. Sometimes Sarah skipped meals so Emily could get her medicine. Sometimes she walked long distances because she couldn't afford the bus. But she never told Emily the truth. She always said, "I'm just tired," or "I'm not hungry." Emily knew her mother was suffering, but she never said anything. She didn't want to make her mother sadder. One day, while Sarah was working at the bakery, she overheard 2 nurses talking. They said Emily's treatment was expensive. Too expensive. Sarah felt fear rising again. She rushed to the hospital after work, her heart pounding like a drum. That was the day the hospital told her the fees were changing. The new cost was impossible for her. Not just high, impossible. That night, Sarah sat beside Emily while she slept. She watched her daughter's small chest move up and down. She touched her thin hand. And for the first time in months, she cried loudly. She felt powerless. She didn't know what to do. But the world works in strange ways. Some battles feel hopeless, until a miracle begins to form quietly, far away. While Sarah cried in the dark apartment, someone else was writing a message on social media about Emily. Someone who had seen her at the hospital earlier. Someone who felt her pain. That message traveled quickly. It reached the screen of a man named Mike, the leader of a biker charity group. Mike frowned as he read the post. He showed it to the other bikers. They all fell silent. Rough men with tattoos and heavy boots, but soft hearts. One of them said, "We can't let this child suffer." Another said, "This isn't just a story. This is a call for help." And Mike simply nodded. He didn't know Emily. But he knew her pain. He didn't know Sarah. But he knew her struggle. And he knew one thing for sure. Tomorrow, they were going to that hospital. And they wouldn't leave without helping the little girl with the fading sunshine. The next morning began like any other hospital day. The lights in the hallway flickered softly, nurses walked with tired faces, and the cold smell of medicine filled the air. But for Emily and her mother, this morning carried a heavy shadow. Sarah held Emily's hand tightly as they entered the main lobby. Emily walked slowly beside her, her small steps weak but determined. She believed today she would get her treatment again. She believed today she would feel a little stronger. She held her broken toy horse close to her chest, as if it gave her courage. But courage could not stop what was coming. When they reached the reception desk, the woman behind the counter didn't even smile. She looked at the computer screen, typed something, and then looked at Sarah with blank eyes. "Ma'am," she said firmly, "your payment has not been made. Your daughter's treatment is no longer approved." Sarah's heart felt like it dropped to the floor. "Please," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I just need a few more days. I am trying. I really am." The receptionist shook her head. "I'm sorry. The hospital rules are strict. Without payment, we can't continue. You will need to check out today." Emily watched the conversation quietly. She didn't understand everything, but she could feel the fear. She could hear the sadness in her mother's voice. Sarah leaned forward, whispering urgently, "She is very sick. She needs her medicine. She is getting weaker. Please, help us." But the receptionist spoke like a robot following orders. "There's nothing I can do." A doctor walking by heard the conversation. He recognized Emily and stopped. His name was Dr. Daniel, one of the young doctors who always treated Emily with kindness. He stepped closer, worry on his face. "What's going on?" he asked. "She can't get treatment," the receptionist replied. "No payment." Dr. Daniel looked at Emily, then at Sarah. "Let me talk to the administration. Maybe there is something." But before he could finish, another senior doctor approached. His expression was cold and final. "Daniel, you know the rules. We can't break hospital policy." Dr. Daniel tightened his jaw. "But she is a child. She needs help." The senior doctor sighed. "This is not our decision. The hospital board made it clear. No payment, no treatment." Emily tugged on her mother's sleeve. Her voice was soft. "Mommy, why can't I go inside? Did I do something wrong?" Sarah knelt down and hugged her daughter tightly. "No, baby. You did nothing wrong. Nothing at all." Emily closed her eyes and held her mother like she was holding on to the last piece of safety in the world. People around them kept walking. Some looked at them for a moment, then looked away quickly. No one stopped. No one asked if they needed help. The world moved forward, but Sarah and Emily felt frozen in a moment of pain. Sarah stood up slowly and whispered to Dr. Daniel, "Please, is there no hope? Not even a little." Dr. Daniel wished he could say yes. He wished he could break the rules. But he knew he couldn't. He lowered his head. "I'm sorry." Sarah gently lifted Emily's hand. "Come on, sweetie," she said. "Let's go home." Emily looked confused. "But I will get better, right?" Sarah forced a smile that was breaking inside. "Yes, my love. We will find a way." But she didn't know how. Every step toward the exit felt heavier. The world outside seemed colder. The sky looked gray. Emily walked slowly, still holding her broken toy. As they reached the doors, Emily stopped suddenly. She turned around and looked back at the hospital, the place that had once given her hope but had now taken it away. Sarah whispered, "Don't look back. It's okay." But it wasn't okay. Not for a mother watching her daughter slip away. Not for a child being denied help. Not for anyone with a heart. What neither of them knew, was that help was already moving toward them. And it was coming on two wheels. Loud ones. A storm of engines was rising in the distance, a storm that would challenge every rule the hospital had made. The hospital parking lot was usually quiet, with only the soft sound of cars arriving and leaving. But on this day, something different was coming. It started as a low rumble in the distance. At first, people thought it was thunder. But the sky was clear. The sound grew louder and louder until it felt like the ground itself was shaking. Then the engines appeared. One bike. Then 2. Then 10. Then 20. A long line of motorcycles roared into the hospital parking lot like a moving wall of steel and determination. People stopped walking. Nurses near the entrance looked up in surprise. Security guards stepped forward, unsure what was happening. At the front of the group was a tall man wearing a black jacket with a red heart symbol on the back. His name was Mike, the leader of the biker charity group. His face looked strong, but his eyes were kind, the sort of eyes that had seen many battles, and still chose kindness every time. The bikers parked their motorcycles in perfect formation and turned off their engines. The sudden silence after the loud roar felt powerful, almost like the air itself was watching. Mike looked at the hospital building. "This is the place," he said quietly. The other bikers nodded. One biker, a big man with a beard, asked, "Are we sure they'll talk to us?" Mike answered with calm certainty, "They will. Or they'll learn to." The group began walking toward the hospital entrance like a wave of black jackets and heavy boots. People in the lobby turned around, eyes wide, wondering if trouble had arrived. But trouble was not what these bikers brought. They brought something far more powerful, justice. As the doors opened, the bikers stepped inside. The receptionist looked up, her eyes suddenly wide. She froze with her hand resting on the keyboard. She had seen angry families, she had seen worried patients, but she had never seen a group like this. Mike stepped forward. "Good morning," he said politely, but with a voice that carried weight. "We're here for a little girl named Emily." The receptionist swallowed nervously. "Emily? Room 12? I'm not sure she was denied treatment," Mike said, finishing her sentence. "We know." Several nurses nearby turned to listen. Even the security guards hesitated, unsure if they should intervene. One of the bikers tapped the counter. "Where is her doctor?" The receptionist pointed with a shaky finger toward the corridor. Dr. Harrison is in his office." Mike nodded and motioned for two bikers to follow him. They walked down the long hallway. Their heavy boots echoed loudly, making doctors peek out of their offices. People whispered, confused and curious. When they reached Dr. Harrison's office, Mike knocked once, then opened the door. Dr. Harrison almost jumped in his chair. Hello? Can I help you?" "Yes," Mike replied. "You can help a child who needs you." Dr. Harrison blinked, then realized who they were talking about. "You mean Emily, don't you?" Mike nodded. "We read her story. We know what happened. We know she was denied treatment because her mother couldn't pay." Dr. Harrison's expression softened. "I didn't want that decision. I tried to fight for her." "We're not here to blame you," Mike said. "We're here to fix it." He opened a large envelope and placed it on the doctor's desk. The envelope was filled with money, donations the bikers had gathered overnight. Dr. Harrison stared at it in shock. This is enough for months of treatment." "It's enough to start right now," Mike said. His voice became firm. "We want her treatment restarted today. No delays." Dr. Harrison stood up. "I will talk to the administration immediately." One of the bikers leaned close and said, "Good. Because no hospital should let a child suffer." Dr. Harrison nodded, grabbed the envelope, and rushed out. The bikers followed him. Their presence filled the hallway like a shield. As they walked, nurses whispered, "Who are these people?" Another nurse answered softly, "They're angels, wearing leather." Word spread quickly through the building, the bikers are here for the sick girl." And just as Emily and her mother reached the exit doors, defeated and heartbroken, something happened that made them stop in their tracks. The sound of loud boots approached, and a deep voice called out, "Emily." She turned around slowly and saw the bikers standing there, like heroes who had finally arrived. Emily turned slowly toward the voice. Her eyes, tired but gentle, widened as she saw a group of tall bikers standing in the hospital lobby. Their jackets looked rough, their boots heavy, and their presence strong, but their faces were filled with warmth she did not expect. Mike stepped forward first. He knelt down so he could look directly into Emily's eyes. His voice was deep but soft. "Hi, Emily. My name is Mike. We heard you need help." Emily blinked. She held her broken toy horse close. She didn't speak at first, she simply stared, unsure if this moment was real. Sarah stepped protectively in front of her daughter. "Who are you?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling. Mike smiled kindly. "We're friends. And we're here because people care about your daughter." Emily looked up at her mother, then back at Mike. "Are you here for me?" she whispered. "Yes," Mike said. "Only for you." Behind him, the rest of the bikers nodded firmly. Their tough appearance hid soft, caring hearts, hearts that had come together for one small girl. A nurse standing nearby watched with surprise. "Are you from the charity group?" she asked quietly. One biker answered, "Yes. We help children who need support." Sarah felt tears well up in her eyes. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel alone. She gently touched Emily's shoulder. "See, sweetheart. Some people still care." Mike stood up, his expression turning serious again. "Where is the hospital administration? We need to speak to them." A security guard hesitated but pointed toward the office wing. Mike nodded and motioned for several bikers to follow him. The others stayed with Emily and Sarah, forming a protective circle around them. The hallway shook slightly under the weight of the bikers' footsteps. Doctors peeked out from their rooms, curiosity filling their eyes. Some nurses whispered to each other. "Are they here to cause trouble?" "No," another nurse whispered back. "They're here to stop trouble." When Mike reached the administration office, he didn't bang or shout. He simply knocked firmly and walked in when a voice said, "Come in." Inside, the hospital administrator, a sharp-faced man in a suit, looked up. His expression changed instantly when he saw the bikers. "What is this?" the administrator demanded. "You can't just walk in here." Mike placed the envelope full of money on the desk. "This is payment for Emily's treatment. Start it today." The administrator stared at the envelope, then at Mike. "This is highly unusual. We can't accept money like." Mike leaned forward. "This is not a request." Another biker stepped closer. "A child is sick. A child needs treatment. And you stopped it because of money." The administrator looked away, uncomfortable. "We follow rules. This hospital." Mike cut him off. "Then change the rules for one day. For one child. For one chance at life." The room fell silent. The administrator slowly opened the envelope and scanned the bills inside. His eyes widened. "This is enough to cover several months." "Good," Mike said. "Then restart her treatment today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today." The administrator hesitated. "I will need to approve." One biker tapped the desk gently, but firmly. "Approve it. We're not leaving until you do." After a long moment, the administrator sighed. "Fine. I will authorize it now." Dr. Harrison, who had rushed in moments earlier, smiled with relief. "I can prepare her treatment right away." Mike nodded. "Thank you, Doctor." The bikers stepped aside as Dr. Harrison hurried out to make arrangements. Mike turned back to the administrator. "And one more thing," he said. "No more turning away children who need help." The administrator nodded slowly, shame on his face. When the bikers returned to the lobby, Emily looked up at them with big, hopeful eyes. "Will I get my medicine now?" Mike smiled warmly. "Yes, kiddo. You will." Emily hugged her toy horse happily. Sarah covered her mouth as tears poured down, this time not from pain, but from relief. The bikers stood in a line behind Emily like guardians, like warriors who had come at the perfect moment. And for the first time in a long time, hope returned to room 12. Emily lay peacefully on the hospital bed once again, but this time, the room felt different. The air felt lighter. The shadows felt softer. The fear that had filled the space before now seemed to fade like fog under the morning sun. For the first time in many days, there was hope. Sarah sat beside her daughter, holding her tiny hand gently. Every few minutes she looked at Emily, then at the door, as if still afraid someone would walk in and take this hope away again. But the only people walking through that door now were nurses, smiling kindly, and bikers checking on Emily like protective guardians. Mike stood near the window, his large frame softened by the gentle light pouring in. He watched as the nurse prepared Emily's medicine. He felt relief knowing the little girl was finally receiving the treatment she needed. Emily looked at him and asked, "Will this help me get better?" Mike smiled warmly. "Yes, Emily. It will make you stronger. And we'll be right here cheering for you." Emily hugged her toy horse, the same broken one she had carried through every moment of fear. But now it didn't look like a broken toy, it looked like a reminder of everything she had survived. Sarah wiped her tears and whispered, "Thank you, all of you. I don't know how to repay this." Mike shook his head. "You don't need to repay anything. You just take care of your daughter. That's all that matters." More bikers entered the room, carrying small gifts, coloring books, soft toys, a warm blanket with a rainbow design. Emily's eyes lit up like stars. She was surrounded by people who cared, people who had become her unexpected heroes. Days passed. Emily's treatment continued smoothly. The medicine was strong, but so was Emily's courage. She never complained. She never cried. And every time she felt scared, she looked at the rainbow blanket and remembered the day the bikers walked in to save her. The bikers visited every afternoon. Sometimes they read stories to her. Sometimes they made silly jokes that made Emily laugh so hard she forgot her pain for a moment. The hospital staff couldn't believe how much the atmosphere had changed. A nurse whispered to another, "It's like the whole building has more light now." Dr. Harrison worked closely with Emily, checking her progress every day. One morning, he entered the room with a bright smile. "Emily," he said gently, "your numbers are improving. You're getting stronger." Emily grinned. "Does that mean I can get better for real?" "Yes," the doctor replied. "It means exactly that." Sarah burst into tears again, but this time they were tears of joy. She hugged Emily gently, careful not to disturb the tubes. "You are so brave," she whispered. So brave." Weeks passed, and Emily continued to heal. Her strength slowly returned. Her smile became brighter. And the day finally came, the day she was strong enough to ring the hospital's victory bell. The hall outside the treatment room was filled with people. Nurses, doctors, and every single biker stood proudly, forming a long line on both sides. Mike held a small camera, ready to capture the moment. Emily stood in front of the bell, her legs a little shaky but her smile full of courage. She looked at her mother, then at the bikers. "Are you ready?" she asked. "We've been ready since the day we met you," Mike said. Emily lifted the rope with both hands and pulled. The bell rang loud and pure, a sound of victory, a sound of survival, a sound of hope. The entire hallway erupted into cheers. Sarah held her daughter tight, sobbing with happiness. Mike wiped a tear secretly, though bikers rarely admitted such things. Emily looked up at him. "You saved my life," she said softly. Mike shook his head. "No, Emily. You saved your life. We just helped a little." Emily smiled wider. "Then you're my heroes." The bikers gathered around her like a circle of protection. In that moment, it didn't matter who they were, what they wore, or what the world thought about them. What mattered was that they showed the world a simple truth. Sometimes heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they ride motorcycles. And sometimes, all it takes to change a life, is to care.